Alright guys, welcome back to another Scientific Rankings video. In this video, I want to talk about press releases and how to use them for SEO purposes. So let me just start with something that I think is pretty important to cover straight up. So press releases are not required. They're not required to submit press releases. People have these really strict processes where like, we have to do press releases, we have to do 25 blog comments, we have to do this. It's like, okay, chill guys, like we need PBNs, we need social signals. Like everything else is not really required, and maybe social profiles, but press releases and stuff like this are not required. You don't need to do them, but there are additional link types that you can do for link diversification, and it's something that I use quite a lot because they're very good at faking traffic and pretending that your site is going viral. So they're very good when you send out a press release and it's like, okay, now I must have traffic going to my site because the press release is picked up or whatever else like that. So the basic way of explaining this is you send out a press release, and as a result of that, you get traffic going to your website. Now, because you have traffic on your website, you have people visiting your website and seeing it, you're going to get social signals because people are on your website, they like the content, they're enjoying the content, at least if it's a white hat site, then people are going to share it. For example, if you got featured on the television, you got featured on TV, and loads of people went onto your website, you're going to get a lot of traffic. Now, how do you justify that traffic? How do you show that you have that traffic? Well, one of the easiest ways of doing it would be looking at the social signals. If 10,000 people visited your site today and the content is good, inevitably you're going to have a decent amount of social signals. So you have to have social signals there, a lot of the shares and effort like that on Facebook, on Twitter, and sites like that. But also what's going to happen is you're going to get backlinks. Because again, people will link to your sites. You're going to go, oh, this site's really cool, has great content, let me link to it from my one. And that's really how you get social signals and backlinks naturally in a white hat manner. So what we do is we send out the press release and then we manually add the social signals and the backlinks because that's what would happen if it was white hat. Now in our cases, you're probably not going to get any traffic from press releases, at least very little, and you're not going to get social signals, and you're probably not going to get any backlinks as a result of your press releases, aside from the press release backlinks themselves. But we can build up our own backlinks, our own social signals, stuff like that, and then that kind of justifies, and it's kind of justified that we have them based on having traffic to our site from the press releases, which we're faking here. It doesn't really happen. We're faking this all. But then also as a result of having these social signals, as a result of having these backlinks, then we also should have more traffic going to our website. I hope that makes sense, but basically guys, we're sending out press releases and pretending that we get traffic from them by sending social signals and backlinks afterwards, which kind of justifies why we have the backlinks and the social signals in the first place. If we just randomly out of nowhere sent backlinks and sent social signals, then there's no real explanation of where the traffic came from before that. Whereas if we triggered a press release first, then it makes sense. All the traffic came from the press release. And that's why we have the backlinks. That's why we have the social signals. That's kind of the thinking, and that's why I personally do press releases today. So how does this stuff work? How does it all work? Well, let me just break it down step by step. Well, step one is you write a news release about your website. So it's called a press release, but basically you want to share some news to different press sites, different media sites online. And it has to be news. This is the most important thing. So many people that do SEO try and write these press releases that just aren't news. So I recommend writing it like it's an actual news article that you want the press to pick up. And the better it's written, the more likely it is that you might actually get some solid press about it. You might actually get some good links about it. You might actually get some real traffic and even invitations to speak somewhere or different things like that. So I recommend actually treating it seriously. In most cases, it won't help. It'll just be for SEO purposes. But you never know what may happen when sending these out if you get on the right sites. So you can send out a press release like this, where it's a XYZ launches to help mums safely lose weight with diet pills, or XYZ helps over 1,000 XYZ helps over 1,000 mums find diet pills that work. You could even do that if you're doing like really like dodgy affiliate stuff where you're promoting like Garcinia egg hamburger or whatever that thing is called. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but you could even do titles like this where you just say like this new site is launched, or if you had over 1,000 visitors, it's helped over 1,000 people find diet pills, stuff like that. Just send out a real news report. It doesn't need to be like this amazing news. It doesn't need to be this amazing thing that's going to be featured on TV. It just needs to be news. So step two, once you've written it out, what you want to do is include a link to your website. This isn't that complicated, it's pretty obvious. Now, the way I recommend doing this is using URL anchor text. So not writing a keyword or anything like that, just including the URL of your website directly at the bottom, which is usually gonna be the homepage. So for example, I usually put like, to find out more, visit xyz.com, and there you have it. You have the link. I usually put HTTP and all that stuff as well, but xyz.com, just put in the URL directly as the anchor text and hyperlink that to your website. Now, you can also link to 1 to 3 social profiles too. So if it's standard social profiles that are pretty normal for people to use, let's say, hey, like, you can also find out more on Facebook and Twitter, then link to our Facebook and link to our Twitter. You can do that by even linking the text Facebook and Twitter, or you can do that by including the URLs also, just like the one to our website. And then that's all there is to it, guys. It's not that complicated. You submit this to a distribution service. There's so many around. The prices can range from upwards of $500 to less than $100. It really depends on the level of distribution that you want. So you can start cheap with something like Press Release Jet. And their press releases range from like $35 all the way up to $75. And that works. I've tested them out. They seem pretty good. Nothing amazing. You're not going to feature on these like huge sites, but it's decent enough for getting some diversification for your SEO purposes. Another one is Press Cable, and you can go on their website, check them out as well. They're pretty popular in the industry, I believe. And again, there's so many out there. You can search them, but here's two that are pretty popular within the industry. There's Press Release Jet and Press Cable. And that is all there is to it, guys. You go on their sites, you submit this press release, and you wait for a report. A few days later, they send you a report, and voila, there's like 100, 200, 300 plus sites that are linking to you now with a link. It's as simple as that. So here's some tips for actually writing their press releases, how to write them better. It's not massively important. I just recommend that you don't get it written by some like just really bad writer, so like a Filipino that doesn't write very good English. There's Filipinos out there with great English, but the ones that write really badly and just bad grammar and spell and stuff like that, just don't hire someone like that to write your press releases. So here's the basics, guys. Have an appealing title, but make sure it's news oriented. So have the title that actually sounds good. So the ones we went through before, remember them? Let's rewind a little bit. So here you go. XYZ launches to help mums safely lose weight with diet pills. You could just put like XYZ launches new website, which sounds really, really crappy. So being a little more specific there sounds a bit more interesting. XYZ launches to help moms safely lose weight with diet pills. So we're being a little more specific there, and it just makes it so much better. It's going to get more clicks on the actual distribution sites and make them better to share ultimately. So I recommend doing that sort of thing. And again, it might actually get some genuine clicks from that if you do it right. I also recommend having actual news to publish. Don't just like write some press release that isn't new. Don't just send out some random article or something. That's not going to work. Have actual news to publish. Now, it doesn't need to be big news, and if you really want, you can just make something up. So whenever I launch a new affiliate site or anything, it's just, hey, I just launched this new website. Another thing you could do, if a lot of people have visited your website, you could say, hey, we've helped 1,000 people so far, we've helped 10,000 people so far, because you had 10,000 people visit your website, and stuff like that. It doesn't need to be big news, it just needs to be actual news. It actually needs to be news that you're publishing, and not just like a random article or something like that. Another thing I recommend doing is writing a company biography at the end of the press release. This is the perfect place to include a link if you're not talking about a specific product. So if you're talking about a specific product, then you can just link directly to your product page. But if you want to include a link to your homepage, at the end of it, put about this company or something like that, and then write a little description like, we do this and this and this and this, blah, blah, blah. Find out more at www.website.com. And then you can include a link there very, very easily. And it fills it out a little bit and adds a little bit more information to the press release. Another thing you guys can do is include an unstructured citation. So an unstructured citation basically means it's a citation of your name, address, and phone number, but it's not within like a business directory or anything like that. So it's within like a random article or a press release. So what this means is go ahead and include your like business name, your business address, and your business phone number within the press release, and it's another citation you get from potentially 200 to 300 websites, depending on the distribution that you get for that press release. And just to make this even easier, guys, because I hate doing this sort of thing, I hate writing them, and I actually outsource the whole thing, I'm going to give you a template that I downloaded on how to write press releases. It's just a template, you just like edit it and make it work for your business. Now, this isn't my template. I need to say that because it's not I didn't make this. I just found it on the internet when I was teaching my VA basically to write press releases. So I found it on the internet and I gave it to them. And this is what I've been personally using for quite some time. But I'm going to give it to you guys and you guys can download it and use that yourselves. And I highly recommend this, which is what I actually switched to doing when I realized you could do this so easily, is that you can just outsource it. You don't need to train someone up to write it your way. You can literally go onto Fiverr and pay someone $5 to write you a press release. $5. Here's an example gig that is hugely popular. You can see 543 reviews and 5 stars overall. And he's going to write a press release for you. He's a guy in the States, and he write a 150 to 200 word press release for $5. That's more than long enough to submit. It doesn't need to be that long, the press release. It's more than long enough to submit. And if you want to, you can pay the extra, which is $25, and then you get like even longer written press release. But honestly, the $5 ones is more than enough. So $5 is very little money to get it written and outsource it, and it'll just save yourself a lot of hassle without needing to download the template and edit it and stuff like that. So that's what I actually suggest doing. Going on Fiverr, just finding someone that can do a press release for you, really cheap, that already knows how to do it, and then you pay someone else obviously to distribute it, which is a more expensive part of it. So the final tip to wrap this up is they can also issue regular press releases to like further diversify everything like that. So a press release isn't like a one-time thing, like you do it once and you can never do it again. You can do press releases pretty regularly if you want. You could do one every month, you could do one every couple months, or whatever it is that really makes you feel better, but you can do more than one, and it's really going to diversify things a lot more than just doing one and just like never doing it again. So that's totally your choice. If you're doing like a local business site, probably not necessary, but if you're trying to rank for bigger terms, then you may want that extra diversification in there to allow you to kind of optimize your anchor text and stuff a little bit more. Totally your choice, but I recommend doing at least one at the beginning, and then from there it's totally up to you. You can choose whichever suits you better depending on how competitive it is, depending on how many links that you're going to be building. Alright, I hope this video helps. Get out there and start building your press releases, submitting them, and getting those links there, and I'll see you in the next video.